Now, much has been debated about that tragic night that Trayvon Martin was shot. Here is what we know based on the 911 call that came in that night from George Zimmerman himself.
Sanford Police Department.
Hey, we've had some break-ins in my neighborhood, and there's a real suspicious guy. This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining, and he's just walking around looking about.
Okay, and this guy, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He looks black.
We got him on the way. Just let me know if this guy does anything else.
Okay. They always get away. He's running.
He's running? Which way is he running?
Down towards the other entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay. Which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Okay.
All right, sir. What is your name?
It's George. He ran.
Now, minutes later, Trayvon Martin was dead and a controversy was ignited. Here to give us his son's side of the story is George Zimmerman's father, Robert, and his attorneys, Craig Sooner and Hal Uhrig, is with us. Thank you all for being here. Mr. Zimmerman, I know just obviously you don't want to be on camera, and there is a reason for it. Can you tell our audience why?
Well, we received numerous death threats.
Okay, and one of the things that has come out in this case is there has been a bounty that has been put on your son's head. You know that famous Hollywood stars Spike Lee, Roseanne Barr have tweeted out, at least in the case of Spike Lee, what he thought was your son's address. What has this meant in that sense? How difficult has that been for your family? And do you think this has all been a rush to judgment by the media?
It's absolutely been a rush to judgment.
Yeah. Why don't you walk us through, because you obviously have spoken to your son. Tell us his side of this story on this night. Tell us what happened.
Well, it's customary on Sunday night for George to go and do grocery shopping. He had been texting his sister and told her that he was going to go and do grocery shopping. He got in his vehicle to leave the community. He saw somebody that did not live in the community walking behind some townhomes. That small gated community has had a lot of problems with burglaries and people coming into that community to commit crimes. So he thought that it was suspicious.
Okay, so and I understand it was raining that night, and when you say that he saw Trayvon Martin walking behind townhomes, are you saying that he was up close to where the homes were? Is that why he was suspicious?
I don't know exactly where Trayvon Martin was walking. I'm not real sure of that.
There have been implications that have been made. One was that on the 911 tape that we just played, that he might have used a racial slur. That has been countered by other people. Two stories that I recently read, and one is that, is it true that your son would tutor African-American and minority children on the weekend? And is it also true that there was a case involving the Sanford police in which a son of a police officer hit an African-American homeless man, and that he spoke out against the policeman? Is that true too, sir?
That's true concerning the assault on the homeless man. He went around to churches and put flyers on people's cars, and he just felt sorry for this homeless man not having anyone to support him.
Right. Has he ever used any racial slur that you know of, sir?
None whatsoever.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you, and when the dispatcher said to him on that 911 tape, "We don't need you to do that," meaning because he said, "Yes, I'm following Trayvon Martin." Did he follow him? Did you ask him if he followed him at that point? And what happened from that point forward? Tell us the rest of the story.
From where George's vehicle was, there's a sidewalk that goes to the next street over.
Okay.
Off of that sidewalk, there's another sidewalk that goes between two rows of townhomes. It's my understanding that Trayvon went between the two rows of townhomes, and George was walking down the main sidewalk to see if he could see where Trayvon was going. He continued walking down that sidewalk to the next street. He wanted an address. All he could see was the back of the townhomes, and he could not see an address. So he asked the dispatcher to have the responding unit call him, and he could tell him the address. So he walked down to the end of the street, to the end of the sidewalk to the next street to get an address. He did not know at that time where Trayvon Martin had gone. As he was walking back to his vehicle, there was a sidewalk that goes to his left, and Trayvon came from that area where the sidewalks meet. He asked my son if he had a problem, and George said, "No, I don't have a problem." Trayvon said, "Well, you do now." He punched him in the face, broke his nose, knocked him to the sidewalk, and got on him and started beating him.
Well, so he was walking back to the car, is what you're saying. Trayvon confronted him. He reached for his cell phone, and Trayvon, this is confirmed, his nose was broken. And is it true that he had lacerations and injuries to the back of his head, sir?
Yes, sir, he did.
Okay, and his nose was broken that night, but he denied medical care, although he was treated at the scene. Is that true, too?
I believe the medics cleaned him up at the scene. Following that, the police took him to the police station for several hours.
All right, walk us through. First of all, did he stop when the dispatcher said stop? And how did we get to the point where the shot was fired? Explain that part of this, because that's obviously the key moment in this thing.
When the dispatcher said, "We no longer need you to do that," and George acknowledged, okay, he no longer knew where Trayvon was. So he continued walking down the sidewalk directly in front of him to the next street to get an address. He got an address. He was walking back to his vehicle. Trayvon came from his left side, asked him, did he have a problem? George said no. At that point, Trayvon said, "Well, you do now." He punched him in the nose, again knocked him to the concrete, and started beating him. George was there yelling for help for at least 40 seconds. It's clearly him on the tape. There's absolutely no doubt about who it is. A neighbor came, saw what was happening, saw George being beaten, heard George yelling for help, and the neighbor said he was calling 911, and that's what he went inside and did.
And Ed, how do you know, sir, that was your son on the 911 tape? I know there's been conflicting reports about this.
Well, when I first heard, I heard the Martin family say that was their son, and I thought, well, they're a grieving family, and maybe the tapes were not too good. But then when I heard the actual recording, me, my family, friends, everybody knows absolutely that's George.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back much more with Robert Zimmerman.